Yeah. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I am Michelle Wedderburn, the owner founder of Casa Elm here in San Miguel de Allende, located in central Mexico. I am very excited to be back again with my co host, Tracy Collins, talking to you a bit more, and also our guest, Chandler, in regards to the Move to Mexico conference, which is happening November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It is a virtual conference, all online, all from the comfort of your home. And we really want to encourage people who have full vested interest in moving to Mexico or just thinking about it. Like, this is a great weekend to get more information about that. So we are bringing some of our speakers on so you can kind of get a little bit of info about what their talks are about, and also just kind of get to meet and know us a little bit better. So I'll hand it over to Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for being here. Chandler, we're absolutely excited to, introduce you to our audience, and we invite you guys to follow along on all of our social media channels. But my name is Tracy Collins. I live here in San Miguel de Allende as well. And I am excited about the Move to Mexico conference. It is going to be a weekend full of information. So you want to make sure that you come prepared to take notes, because if you are considering Mexico as a possible place to relocate, this is going to be the conference that you are going to need. So without further ado, Chandler, thank you so much for being here. Can you please just introduce yourself to our audience and tell them what exactly you do?
Thanks so much, Tracy. So my name is Chandler Hunt. I've been living here in an expat in San Miguel de Allende for 6 years, with a brokerage called expatinsurance.com that is mainly based in San Miguel, but we do actually service all of Mexico, as well as other Latin American countries as well. So in my presentation, which will be in November, I'll mainly be focusing on what to do in an emergency. So something I really noticed is a lot of expats when they move down here, first thing they do is they rent a house. They start researching what are the best restaurants, the best social groups. They always get their visa, they get everything planned out, and finally, when they're settled in, they say, "Oh, well, what am I going to do about insurance? What am I going to do if there's an actual emergency?" So we'll be talking about emergency preparedness, who to call, what hospitals to go to, and kind of really what the Mexican medical care system looks like and sort of how that ties into insurance. So that'll be kind of the gist of my presentation. Again, it's going to be very non-biased. Insurance will be a small portion, but it is definitely going to focus very heavily on emergency preparedness and just my experience in the last 6 years and some of the real situations that I've seen and how they typically would play out.
I have a question.
Sure.
What do you find, or in terms of the providing of the insurance in Mexico compared to the US, and the things that people are concerned about? Um, for example, is the coverage as good? Is the medical insurance as good? And you can just give us the short
Yeah,
version of
yeah,
that.
definitely. It's hard to say. Obviously, every state in Mexico is going to differ. If you're in Oaxaca, for example, it's a little more rural. The actual medical care there is definitely not going to be as good as, say, the Mayo Clinic, for example, in the United States, or ABC Hospital in Mexico City. But I would say for most, pretty much all things in Mexico, you really are able to get state-of-the-art care. But to access that care, you really do need insurance or, unfortunately, cash up front to really access that, which I will dive into more in my presentation and different strategies on how to approach that.
Nice. Any questions?
No, I think that's like, when we talk about bullet
Straight to the
points,
point. I know,
Sure.
right?
we talk about bullet points. I didn't mean like that short.
Well, I mean, I
But
Okay.
no, I think it's good though. I do want to say, recently we had Dr. G on, and after we wrapped with her, we went into a deep conversation about one of her friends that used you as their insurance broker and to negotiate their insurance coverage. And I want to say a short time afterwards, he got into a really bad bike accident.
Mhm.
he
And
did.
had he not had that insurance in place, and Dr. G, as a confidant or friend in the area in Mexico City, that he would have been in deep trouble. So I know that it is necessary. Somebody who has become a recent immigrant myself, it is essential that we think about the good, bad, and ugly, and indifferent, and preparing for emergencies is essential to a successful stay abroad.
It really is. And down here, I mean, a lot of people, again, and I will definitely get more in detail in my presentation, but I don't think people realize when they come down here that it is a completely different medical system.
Yeah.
For example, especially the private system, which is mainly, the hospitals that we do want to use. In that situation, he was treated, I believe it was at ABC Hospital, one of the best in Mexico City. Um, and these are private facilities. It is not like the U.S. where you can show up at a hospital and they'll treat you no matter what. You might get
Mhm.
collection calls for the rest of your life if you don't have a means to pay or insurance, but they will treat you. Here it is a privatized system, so they can deny you service, they can deny you treatment if you do not have a means to pay or access that. Which, again, I really think that to kind of drill the point home. Yeah, insurance is extremely important to be able to access these facilities.
How
Mhm.
about just how fast does the process move, afterwards? Like, for example, in the US, because that's the example you use, where
Sure.
you go into ER, you show a card for your insurance coverage, and then they sort of process everything. Does it kind of work the same here as well?
A little bit, yes and no. So
Mhm.
if you were to show up to a private hospital, a majority of the time, let's say it's for a scheduled surgery or it's an emergency, the insurance will be able to typically pay that private hospital directly, especially if
Okay.
it's in a major city like San Miguel or Querétaro or Mexico City. If you do, however, go to a small doctor or a clinic, or again, going back to that example of Oaxaca, maybe kind of a rural clinic somewhere in one of those beach towns, typically you are going to have to pay and go through a reimbursement process, and
Okay.
that definitely is a little bit of a longer process. That's just because Mexico, it doesn't have the infrastructure yet where you can walk into any doctor's office. You show that card, it's great, and then you
And you're
just well,
connected.
and then you call it a day. That's not it's not quite there. Maybe in
Okay.
5 to 10 years it'll be there, and in the 6 years I've been doing this, I've already seen it, get a lot better and just much faster. But yeah, it's definitely taking some time.
Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to know. I don't, I
Sure.
know we
Good
aren't going to
question.
go too deep
I,
into
I,
it.
I do have another question. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Is there a difference, or will you be covering a difference between people who hold like a temporary residency versus a permanent residency in the country? And if there is an insurance system as a permanent resident that they can benefit from that somebody who's holding temporary residency wouldn't necessarily have access to?
Yeah, I will be covering that. There isn't a whole difference actually between Permanente and temporary for the actual system that they can, which is IMSS is what the system is called. I will touch on that, but there are kind of two separate health pillars I like to say. There's the IMSS system, and then the privatized system. And yeah, to access the IMSS, you do need to be an actual resident of Mexico to be
Mhm.
able to access that. You do have to apply. You do have to pay into it. It is a system. So.
Well,
I
I
don't.
have my card right here, so
Okay.
I don't ever leave home without it. Like, honey, make sure I like keep it in my wallet.
No, that's
Just in
great.
case of an emergency, like
Yeah.
I'm like, we don't need it. And she's like, we absolutely need it. So that's me, the
Good.
defiant one. But she takes care of all of that.
Oh,
And the other point too I want to bring in is October 1st, and this is very exciting. A new president is going to be
Yeah.
inaugurated into Mexico.
Mhm.
And with that said, things
wait,
do.
a female
A
president. I
female
got
president. That's
better
correct. A
now.
female president.
Mhm.
Um, female Jewish president actually.
Mhm.
So very interesting. So she'll be taking over, and when there's usually a change, specifically a president, the socialized healthcare system like IMSS does typically change. Before AMLO had enacted, we had Seguro Popular, which was a very popular social program that a lot of people did utilize. He ended up getting rid of that and then instating Insabi. Something new may even, by the time I actually do my presentation in November, there might be a completely new socialized health program. Who knows?
Do you think
So
it'll be implemented that quickly?
No, but there probably will be
Make
talks
some
and
changes.
announcements, and it may stay the same. We're not sure, but things typically do change when a new president does take
I
over.
have another question because like in the U.S. they have like the public health department. Is that similar to IMSS? I didn't get
Yeah, a little
similar
bit, I would
concept
say.
where you just walk in. Is that open to anyone to walk in, or is it
No,
people
so you
who?
do have to actually apply and be a member of IMSS.
Gotcha.
Um, it depends on the price. Typically goes for around 20,000 pesos a year or so. Um, it also is going to be a little bit strict. If you have certain pre-existing conditions, there may be stipulations or waiting periods to qualify. But it is a program. It is out there. You do have to go to an IMSS clinic or an IMSS hospital. You can't necessarily just have IMSS and then walk into the top private hospital in Mexico. You have to really go by their system, and it can be a very tough system to navigate if especially if you're not very fluent in Spanish or just very good at navigating paperwork and systems in general.
Okay.
So that's a lot. Like, I think it's essential to have this conversation. We're excited that this is going to be a topic of discussion.
Hmm.
And it gets people thinking beyond, oh, their residency and, finding a place to live. It's really about how are you acclimating your life in your new country. And just like you would have healthcare in the United States or Canada or beyond, this is something that is essential to a quality of life abroad.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I also wanted to put one more thing out there. So there's the medical side, but also health insurance. I'm sorry, life, auto, home, and renters. Do you all provide that as well?
We
I know
do
there are
as
stipulations, but just
Yeah,
curious.
we do as well.
Mhm.
We actually have a life insurance specialist at our brokerage, so
Okay.
we can do all sorts of life insurance from term, or if you want to do a more long-term investment-based policy. And we do work with all major carriers in the U.S., Transamerica, Symetra. So we do have a very diverse portfolio of products that we can offer.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
you guys. So you better get your tickets.
That's right. That's right.
So you
Yep.
can benefit from Chandler's information that he will be offering during the conference.
Yeah, conference for November 1st through 3rd. The name of your business is Expat Insurance, but it's with an X, right? X,
No, it's
EX.
EXPATS.
Okay,
Just
sorry.
expatinsurance.com. Yeah,
Okay.
very simple.
Okay, so yeah, look it up if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about Chandler, but also he will have a lot to share with us in regard to medical. You did presentation yesterday for my 3 ladies that are here, and they were very pleased with it. So just to give you all like a little bit of, you know, info. He definitely is very thorough. I've worked with him as well. And there are lots of options for you in Mexico. And I love that when you present people with the options, it's like everything, right? It's like this company, this company, this company, this company, and all the price comparisons and all the things. So it's not maybe what people think. It really allows you to see that you can be covered very well in Mexico. And this is a great way to learn more about it. Yeah.
Great. Thanks so much for having me, guys. I appreciate
Thank
it,
Thank
and
you.
you so
looking forward
much.
to November.
That's
Yeah.
right. I dropped the link already in the chat. I'll do it again. Please be sure to go there if you want more information about it, about the conference. Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Thanks so much.
Hang on.